So
what do you got?
I brought some props to share with you. As I was saying, in 2006, I got invited to go to the Copper Canyon and participate in the first Copper Canyon Ultra Marathon, which, by the way, was a 50-mile race. I ran the race, and I finished 9th, and I won $50 and 500 pounds of corn.
Oh,
which
nice.
was really nice. So these Vibram 5 fingers, these belong to Ted McDonald. These are not the ones that he wore in Mexico, but he was wearing this actual pair during that period of time in 2006. The ones he wore in Mexico were exactly like this. So these are before they were actually running shoes. This is back when they were considered to be boat shoes.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and Ted gave me those.
Do you believe that Ted inspired Vibram to go in the direction that he went?
Do I believe it?
Yeah.
Well, I know it for a fact. I know that Micah and the Tarahumara Indians were the inspiration, or at least helped put Ted in that direction. Ted was there specifically to see this and to understand the Tarahumara way of life. He ran the Copper Canyon race wearing a pair of these. That was in March. He came home, called Vibram, talked to Tony Post, told him what he did, asked him if he would, send him to Boston. They said yes. He ran Boston in a pair of these. And then how long later did it take for every company to be doing this? Do I believe that Ted inspired it? No, I know for a fact it would not happen. None of this whole minimalist revolution would not have happened without Micah True, Christopher McDougall, and Ted McDonald, and a guy named Manuel Luna, and a guy named Arnolfo Quimire, who are the Tarahumara Indians that taught Ted how to cut these shoes and make it happen. These shoes were made for me in the Copper Canyon in 2006 by a man there in Urique who makes shoes. And so, So it went from, Ted running in it went from these to Ted running in these. This year, or last year, I'm sorry, in 2011, I ran the Badwater 135, and prior to that, Teva said, would you run Badwater in our sandals? And I said, well, I don't know, I'll try. So I'm a Montrail runner. I wore a pair of Rogue Racers in Death Valley, Montrail Rogue Racers, but I did wear these a little bit.
And they stood up.
Yeah, but that black surface doesn't really work in Badwater.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, I think like the progression went from these leather shoes to these Vibram shoes to now people are making these really high-tech running sandals. And then these, I really like these. These are Lunas made by Ted and the Luna Company in Seattle.
I was just going to ask if you like his Luna brand.
Yeah. I like these in particular because these belong to Micah True. So Maria gave me these when I was in New Mexico a couple weeks ago when we were looking for Caballo. These are his actual shoes, which I've been wearing around. And so those are his.
What was it like running around the hills looking for him?
It was odd.
I know that's a big question, but go ahead.
Yeah, it was odd because we rushed there panicking, assuming that he was missing and we would be able to find him. And when we got there, there was a whole bunch of runners there. A lot of his friends from all over the country just flew there and drove there and rushed there. And when we got there, we put on our running gear. We got our assignments to go out and search different pattern areas. And once we got out and started running, it's just like being on a run. And so there was times when we were just behaving like we would any other time, kind of joking and laughing and enjoying being in the Gila wilderness. But and then a moment later, you're like, holy shit, we're here looking for Micah, and it's probably not good, But we're running around the hills calling his name, and for 2 days, we ran like 40 miles. And then on Saturday, when he was found that night, we all got together and we spent the night in a cabin, probably about 15, 20 of us, and kind of thought, like, what, that was what a weird experience. It was almost like he invited us there. It was almost like the perfect funeral. Come, enjoy this beautiful place that I like. Let's go on a 2-day run. It was the most dramatic ending to his story. He couldn't have written it any more dramatic than how it was. It was an odd deal. As I was driving there, I thought, well, what are we doing? This is ridiculous. We're not search and rescue experts. We're runners. And it was myself, Patrick Sweeney, Christopher McDougall, a few other friends, and we're just driving through the desert all night long, not knowing what we were going to find. And it was just, the whole experience was surrealistic. It seemed kind of crazy to do it at the time. Now, I'm glad I did. I'm just happy that I did get to go and be part of it.
It was positive in the end.
Well, we found him dead, so that's not really positive.
Yeah, right.
But ultimately, yeah, because we were all together there celebrating, and it was odd. It was just odd. It really hasn't soaked in. It's been like 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's still very fresh, I'm sure, for you.
Yeah. And so that's why I think getting together. There's been memorial runs, dedicated runs around the country since then. This one that we're doing in May. There's no official Caballo run, but this one, I think I know a lot of his close friends are going to be there, and so it should be a good thing. So
there might be some rituals or some celebration or some kind of acknowledgement of him, of course.
Maybe a little bit. Mm-hmm. If you knew him, he would be angry that we're even talking about him right now. He did not like any of this stuff. Mm-hmm. And we were joking when we were looking for him, we're going to find him, and he's going to be laying in a hammock somewhere, and he's going to say, "What are you doing?" And he's going to get mad. And if he knew that all of this was happening, I think he'd be upset. Mm-hmm. And like me going to Boston and speaking, he wouldn't have liked any of that stuff.
Wow. What's this ball?
This is a ball. This is the type of ball. This is a ball that the Tarahumara use in the ball racing. This is an actual one that was made there in the Copper Canyon. This ball has been in actual Tarahumara races. At the end of the 50-mile race in 2006, they gave each one of us some sort of a prize or a token of our trip there. And I was really interested in the ball races. And so they presented me with this ball, which is cool because it's real. It was used in races. This is not a tourist ball. You can't buy these. It was hand carved and given to me.
What is it made out of?
I don't know the kind of wood. It's really
wood. Okay.
Yeah, it's really hard.
Looks like leather, but yeah, it's wood.
It's wooden. And then the champion of champions, the ball racing champion of the Copper Canyon, is this guy named Selvino, and I got to spend a lot of time with him, and we kicked this ball in the street. You couldn't believe the accuracy that these guys have with these things. Anyhow, Selvino signed it,
nice. And
I'm very, very proud of this thing. And anyway, just brought it to share.
Yes, thank you.
Sure.
That's awesome.
How's that? It's a big dose of Louis Escobar.